Going live. Awesome. Welcome to Vlog Thursday with the new and improved studio. More buttons, more things. Because I don't have all the batteries plugged in. Well, I mean, I have the batteries plugged in, not the full power for one more camera that was added. Because now we've, well, not 3 cameras, but 3 input streams. I do have more than 3 cameras, but I have multiple input streams. And so now we can go from here. We can switch to, this is my laptop, and you're seeing a live view from here. Or this is also my laptop. And now not all the lights are on, so you're not going to get the best quality out of this at this moment. Normally we film with a bigger softbox or a lot of light overhead for things, but you get the idea that I'm going to be able to, when I do some reviews and have things, and once again you can see my laptop and what's going on. But this is kind of the goal, is to have it where I have things in a very easy manner to be able to switch between any of these cameras. So anyways, so lots of fun. And if you're wondering what's on the table here, this is also part of a review. So this is a audio on the top-down camera. Oh, audio is on a top-down camera. That's interesting. I don't think it should be. Well, we're going to turn that camera off anyways. There you go. That camera's off. In case we just hooked it up, but I didn't test the audio on it. I don't really have anything else for particularly this Vlog Thursday that's going to have to do with that video. So that's obviously an issue if it is pulling audio from there, because it's not supposed to pull audio from there. My only audio source should be exclusively the camera in front of me. So anyways, let me catch up with all the messages that popped up. Oh, the echo. I need to disable audio from there. All right. All right. I got it, guys. Plenty. Everyone let me know. Awesome. Sounds wrecked. Field day. Things really echoey. It's fine now. We could probably mute that source in OBS. Yes. More than muting it, I need to just remove the audio as a source. When I source the other cameras, I choose not to. I only choose the camera, but not their audio. So, yeah. Anyways, that's... when it's fixed, other than installed, physically, there's a camera mounted directly above looking straight down. And the goal is, and for those of you who don't know, I'm using a Elgato Stream Deck. And this allows me to switch between the different views. So if I wanted to show you something on my laptop or show you something from here, like talk about a product or whatever it is I have in my hand, I'm able to do so without having to move cameras around or shoot multiple cameras at the same time, line up all the camera angles and put together the video, which is actually what, you know, when people ask me how I get a lot of editing done fast, I do so by not doing a lot of editing. There's no secret to doing editing to make you faster other than doing less of it. That's the secret. And editing, if I can spend a little money and spend less time editing, that means overall I'm saving money. That requires an investment in higher quality equipment and multiple adapters for streaming that I'm actually not always using for streaming other than on Thursdays and for our How They Got Hacked videos. But it does allow for me to very easily composite a video together by having multiple sources. So definitely really cool there. We are staying super busy here. I am so they have more buttons or things like a new car. I love the buttons on here. So that's definitely a thing. Also a comment, because this is going to be for a video review coming. That's a super thin cable that we have here. Now, these are patch cables that are of different thicknesses and different designs. And we'll show a couple more of these, and we'll hold them together so you can kind of get an idea of the little bouquet. Rosebuds, as they're called, when you have a bunch of them like this. Focus. There we go. Oh, maybe not. We were focusing for a second. There we go. And we have a variety of cables here. But I'm going to do some reviews about different types of patch cables and where, when you use them and test them out. Because for different clients, they have different requests when they do things, and making all the cables look nice is important. And so I'm going to go over all the varieties of cables you can get and how they all are. So I think that might be kind of a fun video, because honestly, we just bought them all to figure it out. Not everybody wants to just go buy a bunch of cables, and we've had experience using lots of these cables, so it'll be kind of interesting. And that's the same question I had right away. Can you run PoE on these things? I am going to test that as well. On each one of these, I'm going to test. We have a PoE tester that tells me how many volts are going through, and we have our UniFi PoE switch behind us that will also tell me how many watts are being pulled by each thing. And we may destroy a couple of them by finding out what the limits of them are. So this video is going to be a little bit of science, because I plan to look up exactly how many watts. I know there's a math or a calculation for this, so we can figure out the math on how many watts can you put, or what are the voltage and amperage that each one of these cables will support based on the thread in the cable. So if this is, I think these are 16 or 18 gauge, maybe thinner, I don't remember, it's on the spec somewhere. So whatever gauge cable it is should be able to carry X amount of watts, and we'll dig into that a little bit. I think it's gonna be a fun video, as I wanna get a little bit more sciencey with it. That'd be a good way to put it. So can you run PoE? I answered that. Are you familiar with the SIM solutions, RSA, FireEye? RSA, FireEye. There's also, if you're looking for the open source SIMs, there's like Security Onion. AlienVault, since they got bought by AT&T, I don't know what to think about that. AlienVault was a really popular SIM tool as well. I haven't tried the FireEye one, so I don't know. And AlienVault, I think, is still offering, but I don't know all the details. They're a pretty popular one. So AlienVault SIM. And we can switch to computer. So AlienVault's one of them that I think they have an open source model. So let me go back here. Open source. There we go. I forget, they don't give you as complete of a system, but this is the OSIM one. The one that we're using here that I like is this. Is Security Onion. It's complicated. I've been trying to get a video done on it, but even myself, as much as I do understand, it's still trying to articulate it into a coherent video is time consuming, and I haven't had the time to do it, but I do want to do it. It's going to be a little bit extended. It's a lot to setting these tools up. So they're not one-click installs. They're not just download, install it, and magic, you have a SIM tool. And there's so much more that goes into it than just having a SIM tool as well. So thought I'd bring that up. CentOS book, I got nothing on that. I'm not much of a CentOS person, so I've never read a book on it, so I can't tell you which one I would recommend because I just don't know. Security Onion is much more extensive than just Logalize. It's got Bro and a whole bunch of other IDS tools all wrapped into one. It's a whole Security Onion is a culmination of all the tools wrapped into one system. So it's a lot more than Logalizer. It's a lot more extensive on what it can do compared to Logalizer. Windows Remote app having problems running SketchUp in a virtual machine because it runs OpenGL. Don't know much about that. I never really deal much with things that need OpenGL and virtualized systems. Don't update your devices to the 4042 UniFi firmware. Hey, look, someone did the research for me. That someone's better or faster and did the Google. 16 gauge wire, 3.7 amps, 54 volts means 199 watts. That's actually really impressive. So these being, I think they're 16 or 18 gauge, you can't push 199 watts. That is beyond the PoE spec. That you can't put 200 watts over these. So yeah. Why no update to UniFi? Yeah, I don't know. That's maybe we'll have to do a Google search and we'll learn together what some forum says about the firmware update to this. So hold on, we'll do a search for, and then we'll do this, and then we'll put it in a browser. And we'll read the notes in real time here. What is the reason? Fixes a lot of things, but are there comments on this? Is there a forum post that I can find? Problems. So let's find out. Is this a recent post? Guest portal and internet stopped working. Oh, so some guest portal problems. I don't like guest portals, so. Yep, so there's some guest network issues. I'm guessing if these people in forums are correct. So workaround, disabling guest policies and guest SID, proper DNS resolution breaks, authentication course, rolling back to old firmware fixes it. Yay! So, all right. Well, we'll make sure we don't update anyone who has guest to this firmware. We'll wait till another firmware becomes available. So fair enough. That's interesting. I'll have to read into that. And that's all today. I've been so busy. This is like 2 hours ago that this was done. So I'll drop this link in here for anyone wondering. Because it's apparently specifically DNS resolution with guest networks. That's where this problem is. Yeah, 18 gauge wire, 2.3 amps or 124 watts. Awesome. Thank you. There's engineers in here. I knew there would be. Back to the main. Let's see, what do we got here? Let's see. Planning on putting a USB-C card in my Dell R720. For host external backup purposes, have you had something similar? I back up all mine to a NAS connection, so no, I don't. So I don't have much of an answer for that. I've had people, I know it supports, well, not officially, but you can do USB pass-through, you can do PCI pass-through. A lot of people have asked me about XCP-NG. I just really haven't taken the time to dig into it. And for any of our clients using it, there's zero of them have any need for that. All of my clients running XCP-NG are just running it for their servers. They're running it to manage their Windows desktops pretty much exclusively, with a few exceptions, a couple people that run Linux. But it runs all their Windows either virtualized desktops or virtualized servers, and that's all. That's what it does. So there's not a lot going on in terms of like where I have a lot of experience with it. So I know that you can search and find for Zen how to get things to pass through and things like that, and they do it. And as far as backups go with Zen, I have it attached to my FreeNAS. So my Zen server via Zen Orchestra connects to my FreeNAS, and that's how it does all the backups, and that's about it. So nothing too exciting, I know, but that's I've never really. There's ways you can plug USB drives in. I just never use it. I've seen it's in the documentation somewhere. Yeah, I don't like guest portals at all, but yeah, whatever. Radius Desk, haven't used it. Speaking of free Radius, I have used. I'm going to be doing a video on this topic, so let me find it. We'll log in and play with this while we're here, because why not? So this is one of our lab builds, and this is, I did not have time. I don't know if I'll have time till the weekend to do a video on this because I've got so many customer things to do. Free Radius. I have this, this was actually a lab I set up partially because of a client, and also the client had a really specific case. And I've done this before, and it had been a little while since I did it. So I said, you know, I'll build a lab on it because I build labs to make sure that, one, I'm always, you get good at things by repetition. And this was a one-off that I didn't do as often, specifically in the way they wanted it done. So I wanted to just walk through it again because I started making the video on it, and I just haven't finished it. But what this is setting up Free Radius in pfSense. Now, I'm going to make the video in a couple different ways. It's Free Radius setup, and then I'm going to kind of leave a break in the video going, you can stop watching here if your only goal was to set up Free Radius. And then I'm going to go a step further and show you how to use it with two things. One of them is going to be Captive Portal. Another one is going to be Free Radius with OpenVPN. And OpenVPN is what specifically I did for a client today. So what you do here is you go to OpenVPN, and here's the OpenVPN, and we go here to edit it. And hey, look, we're using the RAD server. So the FreeRADIUS authentication server is set up. That's how we're going to be authenticating the OpenVPN users. And the thing you may notice if you're looking at FreeRADIUS here is 192.168.70.124 and 70.122. So what we're doing is assigning specific IPs to users. Now there's different ways you can do this. There's actually a way you can do an includes file with your OpenVPN, and someone may point this out when I make the video. Did you know you can add an includes? Yes, you can go to the command line, add an includes, tie it to the user, do a push, and push an IP address to the user based on the includes, and put it in there. But I would rather do it through a management interface like FreeRADIUS. And when you do it through FreeRADIUS, whether you have the FreeRADIUS server running on pfSense or an external FreeRADIUS server, and this is what pfSense is connecting against, you would assign VPN addresses to that user. Now you're probably wondering, why would I do such a thing? Well, the use case for this particular person was related to the security, and these are the rule sets, not their rules, but similar rules. These are ones that are going to be in for the demo, is you would set up so the source address is each one of these and the destination. And what they do is they went a step further and they specifically only allow a single port. And the concept is when each user logs in, the only resource they have access to is a specifically designated resource on the network. So instead of letting them VPN and having, carte blanche access to the network, it puts them in the tunneled network, which is the 192.168.70 network. And then you put a firewall rule that the only place you're allowed to go is the specific IP address and port on that particular machine. And the fear is, because they have lots of different remote users, but they have to have an internal hosted application, that these users will connect and have a VPN, and they can use that VPN either in their own router behind it or as just a remote user in their laptop or desktop to get in, but not have access to anything more than they have been granted access to. So I thought it was a pretty cool concept. We've done it before in a very similar way, and it's kind of cool because having it set up like this gives you that really granular level control. It's easy for them to manage because part of what I did with this particular client was once we got it all set up and configured, we walked them through how to add the users and how to add the rules. And of course, it's an easy work instruction because once all the structure is set up, you basically add a user in FreeRADIUS, type an IP address, and then you go and copy the rule and make the rule match the IP address of the IP you want to assign to them and the resource internally IP address that you want to designate for them, and you're done. It's pretty straightforward. So it's pretty cool. Catch up with the comments again. So I haven't tried Radius Desk. I set up guests on a separate VLAN, but I don't configure guest portals. Yeah, that's not bad. And that's what we usually do. When I talked about this before, when I set up like free Wi-Fi for a client. So there's a fun story of a client that just came back to our way of thinking. So they got talked into by some marketing company, blah, blah, blah. You need a portal and you need to capture all that data that your customers that are wandering around your building put in. So don't give them free Wi-Fi. That's a horrible idea. You want to have full capture and get their email addresses. Well, what they learned is the same thing we told them. If you have to require email address registration for your free Wi-Fi at your public venue, people will generally skip the Wi-Fi, and the ones that don't skip the Wi-Fi put x at x.com. So if you go a step further and say, oh no, they can't just put some random email address, you need to verify it, you end up with a bunch of crappy old Yahoo addresses nobody uses for anything other than spam registration. I got one, that's all I use it for. And so once again, you've collected no real marketing data. The better way to get, if you want retargeted marketing data, and as far as I know, all this still works. I haven't used it in a while, but with Google does this, and so does Facebook. Facebook, you can register your SSID, and because Facebook is a company that slurps up all your data, they check which SSIDs you're attached to with the app. The app knows the SSID. Then you go to Facebook and go, I want to buy ads for people who have been at my location. And then you go, how do we know they were there? We could use geography, or we could use a very specific piece of information that they were connected to your SSID, and we can retarget them. If you've been to your event once or your venue once, you probably want to come again. So it's a much better way of marketing than trying to get people to fill out forms that you know they'll never fill out. You create a pain point, and once you cross that pain point on there, that's why I don't like to have portals and things like that. What's the point of them? Unless you have some license agreement you want people to agree to, then I guess you kind of need one. Let's see. Thank you, Andrew Knows Tech. If I have multiple public static IPs, how do I pass? If you're asking about how you do that in pfSense, you add them as aliases, and I'll actually show that real quick here. Hopefully this answers your question. So you're going to go to the aliases. I'm sorry, virtual IP. It's not alias. I said the wrong word. Virtual IP, WAN, single address, and it's going to be an IP alias, and just type in the address that you want as an alias. Obviously, it would be some public IP address here, and this is how you alias other IPs, so you can have more than one IP address on your WAN. So that's how that works. Just virtual IPs and attach them to whatever interface that you want to have that attached to, preferably WAN, and that's how you have multiple IPs on a single WAN interface. Provided you're asking about pfSense, I think you didn't clarify in there. Is there another post from Andrew? Hopefully that answers Andrew. If not, if you ask in the forums, I'm more than happy to post that. XCP&G, do you know of any good beginner's guides, or is their wiki sufficient? I would say my videos plus their wiki is more than sufficient. My videos are from start to loaded, and their documentation is not bad. It's pretty good, actually. So they have good documentation, and I have guides that walk you through from how to load it to how to set up. So watch my videos on it. I made playlists. So hopefully that's helpful. So let's see what else we got here. Wow, there's a lot of posts here. You guys are very chatty today. Tom, lots of videos like CPs where I learned. I've done everything I can from top to bottom on it. I have free radius in my free AP service that I can log into my Wi-Fi network via WP Enterprise PAP. Yes, that will do that. Did you know you can add includes? Yes. Let's see. PCI, HA, Apache, and Zen server, or FreeNAS VM used like that before. How is the performance? I don't like doing it, and I wouldn't do it. Not for FreeNAS. FreeNAS should run on real hardware. I run FreeNAS only for testing purposes, like for demonstrations. I will spin up a FreeNAS inside of XCP&G. Why would you put the overhead? I mean, I know you can do the HBA pass-through, but that's kind of, and it's all command line. Not that I'm saying that that's hacky or anything like that, but it's not. It's great for playing with things. I don't know what challenges you'll run into. Generally speaking, and here's a question for everybody here, because we have a bunch of stuff sitting in a cart, and we actually got some other stuff that isn't in a cart. We're going to do some FreeNAS build videos, including with this beefy box over here. But what I want to do is we're going to show that you can build some lower budget FreeNAS systems, that you don't have to break the bank to have them. And so we have a couple machines we're going to use as demos for that, and talk about FreeNAS builds and talk about doing them for pretty reasonable prices. And obviously, the best deals in some of the FreeNAS are buying them used, and so we're going to kind of walk through some of those scenarios and walk through a couple FreeNAS builds. It doesn't take a ton of hardware to run it, so I wouldn't run it in a virtualization server as a production system. I don't really have a use case for that, as I like to say, other than you just want to consolidate everything and you like to play with FreeNAS. You can. It functions, but I don't know how the performance is on there. But I will say, I didn't test this, but the BSD utilities do have the Zen server tool. So there is the guest utility should work if it's available in the BSD repository. Let's see here. Did not install the XCN guest. Yep. What OS are you using? I'll talk about that in a second. Given that desktop environment looks like Mate, I would assume Ubuntu Mate or Mango. No, you guys are wrong on both. Well, it is Mate, so you're not completely wrong, but obviously it's hard to tell from there. Look up the videos. Awesome. If I find what I missed, I'll post in the forums. Awesome. Has anyone used a VPN service, Private Tunnel? I'm very not trusting. I'm going to do some more VPN videos too. I'm not trusting of all these VPN companies. I won't lie. Yes. Low budget case with 4 hot swap HDDs. That's the plan. That's exactly what we plan to build. That's definitely on our list. So Synology DSM running inside of a hypervisor on my NAS. Need to move it, but they have found somewhere 2 terabyte data to sit. Yep. Good open source alternative to SharePoint. I don't know enough about SharePoint. I don't use it. So I guess I'd need to know feature parity, what you're looking for. All right. So back to someone's question about what operating system I'm running. I will cover that. So this is still Parrot OS because that's what I decided to do on my laptop, was put Parrot on here. And I've been using Parrot for a little while now, and I really like it. I wanted to use it as my daily driver because I have a lot more hacking stuff I've been doing. But there's a problem, and I've discussed this with a couple of my other friends on YouTube. And this is also partly why we started the other channel when it comes to like some of the hacking stuff. There is the fear, and I'm shocked that some of these other channels haven't had the problem, but YouTube has been known to completely ban your channel, demonetize it for posting hacking videos. And I have like 800 videos on this channel, so I'm not exactly ready to get it banned and demonetized. That would be terrible. So I want to keep that in there, so we're going to push things over to the other channel. I'm always weary because of the policies around doing any of the hacking videos. Even if they're educational, YouTube can be weird about things, so I got to be careful how I phrase things and set those videos up. But I plan and have been doing, I do a lot of this stuff, and there's a difference between doing it as a hobby and doing it to where I really take the time to be in depth about it so I can teach someone about it on here. And I have a list I made on our forums for great YouTube channels that do just top-notch work. They're really, really talented at understanding and using the tools. Cyber Weapons Lab, Nullbyte, and a few others. I have them all listed in my forums under the cybersecurity. So there's some great people in there. So it's something we're going to be doing here. Some videos on it, but I still, those people they're a notch above me because their specialty is in doing those tools. And so does Xavier, but Xavier doesn't really want to do videos on how to use the tools. Xavier is lacks of interest in doing those type of videos. He likes doing what he does, but he doesn't necessarily want to do a video on it. Do you think Ubuntu server is good for a beginner? It's not bad. I'm partial more to Debian servers, even if you're a beginner. I just think it's nice and clean, but I haven't used Ubuntu server in a while, so I may be talking out of turn and being biased towards Debian. Let's see. How do you back up your laptop and desktop? Ooh, that's actually a fun question. I'll talk about that in a second. Let me just follow up on these questions. Thanks, Chu. Watching from Brazil. Awesome. Could NAS for free be a good alternative to virtualize instead of FreeNAS? It's using a non-VSS. I don't know. I never used NAS for free, so I don't really know. Not really sure. Let's see. What open source Windows 10 image backup can you recommend? And have you done share internal storage hosts with external storage similar to like vSAN or Nextdoor? No, I haven't done. I don't think I've done any videos on vStore or similar things. So back to the backup thing. So this is a misconception sometimes that I even need to back up everything. You can use open source Clonezilla for backups. Clonezilla is a great utility. I've been meaning to do a video on Clonezilla for a while. I've actually used it quite a bit. It's a great tool for open source backup. Definitely like it. I recommend Clonezilla. But when it comes to backing up my laptop, I just use SyncThing to back up my documents because the rest of it I don't care about. Me switching OSs on a laptop, this is why Linux people are sometimes become distro hoppers, as we call it, because configuring a new computer, for example, in the Debian realm at all. So Parrot is a Debian testing-based OS, not Ubuntu-based, actually Debian. And because of that, the packages, apt-get install, paste a list of packages in, or you can automate it with some scripts. I can reinstall all my applications exactly how I want them configured and a couple of config files. So I don't need to back up my laptop at all. And, you know, people talk about my terminal and have asked about this. Let me clear, and we'll switch over to like my terminal here. Like, how did I get this terminal? Here's my dot files. And let me make sure I got the latest copy of them. Okay, it's up to date. Wow, that was hard. What if I make a change to them? How do I back them up? I would actually just git commit and commit the changes back and forth. I'm gonna do some videos on a little bit of Git videos. I'm not great at it, but kind of give you some ideas of how it works. But one of the things, once you get used to using Linux, and this is on my, by the way, I will throw this in here for people that like my terminal. This is how I get my terminal, is just you git clone the dot files. So paste this in over here for those of you that don't know. So if I want the dot files, you just git clone and paste, and I could just git clone, boom. Actually, I did it wrong. Copy, git clone. There we go. .files.git, and that will grab those files. Now, this is one of those things, all those little configuration things and those tweaks, then I just back some of the things I want up a sync thing, and so if you look, like even my SSH config, so here's my Tom SSH config. This is backed up a sync thing. Sync thing then syncs between all my computers at once. So I just have symbolic links that point to different stuff. Maybe I'll do a video on this too. Me and Jay were talking about putting a video together. Jay has automated the hell out of his. He does a great job with his. And I've been learning from Jay, with Jay from Learn Linux TV. He's got a great setup. It takes him no time at all to install a computer and have it completely customized to exactly how he wants it. And Jay has it also set up so anytime he adds a package, it automatically adds to all the other servers. So if he adds a package on his servers, all of his other servers go, hey, I like that package too, and they install it, and it keeps everything in sync. So it's actually really slick. Let's see. Certification that covers open source tools in general. The Linux Foundation does have some certifications. Foundation. So we'll pull this back up, which I've been meaning to sign up with them as a sponsor. It's on my to-do list, but they offer this, and maybe I'll get this set up as, I'm looking for some channel sponsors. I got the channel big enough, or I'm asked a couple, but they have an offer when you buy this. You can buy it through like an offer code, and it's a small commission they will throw towards my channel if you were to buy it through an offer link. But there's a few places, and Linux Foundation being, well, the Linux Foundation is a pretty legit place to get certifications from. I lack any certifications at all. Therefore, I'm not the most knowledgeable person on certs. It's just not, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about them. So I'm not a market expert when it comes to certifications. Someone says, I use Ubuntu Server for everything. Good. I mean, I've heard good things about it. Ubuntu Server Webmin Management is also a nice setup. Yeah, Webmin is love-hate. I think it's great for people to learn on, but if you're a casual user, but I really recommend digging in and learning things to get better at it. But I've also covered Cockpit. There's a video on web administration for Linux with Cockpit. I think I even have a comparison between Cockpit and Webmin. Webmin does have more features. The short answer to that video, but they're both valid for getting some of the things done. Would you recommend Linux instead of Windows or Mac OS? Yeah, we'll just say yes. CompTIA is more vendor neutral. Okay. Certs equal noobs? Not necessarily. For what I can admit, not knowing a lot about certs, but certs can still be a good way to kick off your learning parts because you figure out what people want in the market. And some jobs require it because they use it as a way to gatekeep. In order to get into a place, because they're trying to not get floodings of resumes of people that may or may not be qualified. So they really want to dig in and go, okay, we want people who are qualified. We want, how do we filter at least some of them out to start making determinations? Well, they went through the trouble of getting a cert, so it sometimes is helpful when you're doing that, especially when the job market's bad. They want more because they get too many people. I remember when the job market kind of fell 10 years ago. I remember one of the hiring managers told me they got 400 resumes in a week, and they're like, we don't know how to sort. We don't have the manpower to sort the resumes, and because it was a technical job, and they're like, just too many people applying. Let's see. Catch up on a few things. What are the best training resource, Security Onion? Read the manual. Oh man, there's a lot of manuals to read though. It's extensive, and not just Security Onion. Look at each tool it's built on and read about the tool it's built on. So it's got built-in Wazoo. Wazoo is really well documented. Read a lot of Wazoo and you'll learn a lot from it, but then you'll probably go, wait a minute, that's a lot. And I'm like, yeah, it is a whole lot to learn. So, all right, let me close all this. Make sure it wasn't anything crazy. All right, so that's part of it too. It's not just Security Onion, and they have their own documentation, but it takes a lot of reading, and so I know people want some guides. I don't know of, and maybe I'm wrong, whether or not anyone's wrote any books on it. The huge challenge of writing a book on a topic like that, though, is the time it takes to write a book, the time it takes to publish a book. There's a lot of effort going into each section of that. And then the product is already gone through another release cycle. Especially when you talk about security solutions, they're going through very fast release cycles and changing with the ever-changing landscape threat. So if it took a year to get the book published, now it's published on a year-old version of it, and some of the features may be deprecated or changed. So I think that's a challenge in it. You almost just have to start using it and really dig into it to understand and learn it. That's kind of my best advice. Like, it's not a simple system to learn. It's a lot of work, but I think it's rewarding. But you have to really be passionate and want to read a lot to learn things like any of the security tools, really. Hey, managing SMB Conf of Vim, I still do. I won't lie. So, yeah. I know you prefer PM Sensor to Unified Gateway, but wondering if you had any experience pulling firewall logs from Unified Gateway on systems where they prefer Unified hardware. I think you can send to an external syslog server. I've not really dug much into the logging on Unify. I don't think it's very extensive, but it does support external syslog, so do that. That's an option. Play games in Linux, check out Proton. I will tell you, watch the Linux Gamer. He's awesome. Watch a video stream with him. He talks all about playing games on Linux quite well. So he's pretty extensive in it. Jay from Learn Linux TV has done some too. But look up the Linux Gamer. If you're into games on Linux, he's got a great channel for that. Nano, no way. Nano, no way, not at all. Matter of fact, let me just show you guys something here. So part of what I do with my dot files, we're going to Vim my Vim. So here are all the settings. All right, cool. I had to clear something that's on the screen. So here's the Vim of my Vim settings, and let me show you how this works. So this is the dot files that you see me do a git clone on. So vim.vimrc. These are all the customizations I have to Vim to make sure it does things that I want it to do. And the way that works in here, let's see. You can see, like my screen in my Vim, how it points to the dot files, like right here. This is how I keep it in sync between all my other computers through using GitHub, so I can push it. As a matter of fact, you guys can keep it in sync too if you want to use any of the customizations. But once you take the time, and I highly, highly recommend it, and learn Vim, your life will be better. So where is the Vim game? Hold on. Vim Adventures. If you want to play Vim, you can play Vim. And learn Vim while playing a game. So this can teach you all the different keys to doing this. So you move the character around. Well, not the character, but the cursor around. So you're... Oh, Woohoo! And this is how you move the character around to each little thing. And this is a cool little... If you haven't seen his Vim Adventures, it'll help you learn Vim, maybe. Or you can just get really angry at it. We'll paste that in there. I'm a subscriber of the Linux Gamer. Yeah, Linux Gamer's great. He's got some good videos on there. Yeah, it's hands-on. The way you really stay good in this industry as a whole is just with constant hands-on learning. It's really tough. We're in a fast-moving, everything's changing constantly. This is one of the reasons that I got into YouTube, and it's also why YouTube is a popular place for tech videos, because someone asked, like, oh, do you have trouble coming to an idea? I'm like, I have trouble landing an idea because there's too many of them. I can revisit the same product sometimes every month or two because there's so many new features or changes or function changes on there. So it's hard from a standpoint of keeping up with it. Not hard, but it's a challenge sometimes. There's a lot to keep up with. And like someone pointed out right here, I learn a lot by interacting with the community. Someone says, hey, did you know there's a problem with the latest firmware? And I just had not looked, and I do look before I just automatically upgrade firmwares. And granted, now we know there's a guest portal problem, so we have to solve. We actually found a weird problem today where the Unify has been partially delisted from the Chrome App Store. So we don't understand what happened here. So watch this. If we go to Web Store, and we put in UBNT, it doesn't show up. So let's put in Unify. Still doesn't show up. There's some other device weird discovery tool. I gotta switch this real quick. It's in an email, and I don't want to pull up all my emails. So let's go over to what I just sent to someone. This is where things get weird. Hey, look, it's here. I can launch the app, and it shows up, and it's offered as Ubiquiti Device Discovery Tool. But when you type in, hey, look, it auto-completes, but doesn't show it. So I don't know why this isn't on there, and I was going to email Unify because I don't know how things get in a Chrome Web Store. Like, I don't know the details behind it. But this extension is part of the connecting tool needed for setting up the a couple things in there. It's very handy. Well, it works, but you can't, for some reason, it doesn't show up. You have to send people the actual URL to get it to work, which makes no sense at all to me. I don't understand why it's like that. It's a confusing point. And the link is broken. So when you try to do connect an NVR to their cloud, it's supposed to land you on the Chrome Web Store link, and it doesn't. So there's more than one problem with this. I don't really know what the solution is. So I was going to contact Ubiquiti about it, and it's kind of a weird problem. So that's the thing. Did I experience any mess with the new FreeNAS 11.2 on the pool folders permissions of things after the update? I have frequently update permissions so I can access my folders. No, I haven't seen any permission problems. Yeah, 10 ways to do the same things in tech. I remember probably it was in the 90s when I first started going to some of the Linux users groups, which were kind of cool. And I remember the first thing someone said was, all right, you may ask a question and you may get 4 answers, but don't worry, they're probably all correct. Which I thought was great. So that's true. There's more than one way to do things. There's a paid self-updating security signature with the pfSense apart from Adams Network. I don't know what that is. Billjoy author vid just finished version, which was mode. Let's work for me. Full screen editor had a disk crash. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. There's a 23-page thread on Ubiquiti latest firmware problems. Yeah. Why is 10 gig so expensive? I would argue 10 gig is not super expensive, with the exception of the switches are expensive. The RJ45 switches are still pretty pricey, but SFP 10 gig you can pick up pretty cheap on eBay used. Anything is expensive for a couple of reasons. How mass produced is it? And 10 gig is not that mass produced, therefore it costs a lot of money. That's definitely a thing. So until it becomes mainstream, and when will it become mainstream? Well, some of these 10 gig SFPs have been around for 8 or 9 or more years. I think the SFP 10 gig standard is from 2007 or 8. It's been a while ago, but there's not enough market demand for it. And actually the market is moving more towards wireless than it is towards more hardlined at faster speed. Once you hit a certain threshold, and with 1 gig, for example, I can watch a full 4K even stream on Netflix. So I'm talking about mass audience, like consumer stuff, granted, but once consumers can get what they want, they aren't going to say, but I need 10 gig on my phone, on my laptop, or whatever. You know what I mean? There comes a point where we don't need the wireless to be faster, or we don't need the hardline to be faster because it's adequate for what we're doing. The exceptions are going to be people who do video editing, they care about it, but how many video editors are out there? People who do CAD design, they care about it. How many CAD designers? They're a niche market, and we have wired offices for 10 gig in those situations, but they're also higher end, and so it's not enough mainstream of it to drop the price. Even if 10 gig, so let's see. Any idea why permissions got screwed up? I don't know where to look anymore. I've not had permissions problems, so I'm not sure. Yeah, 10 gig in a home lab is reasonably affordable if you're willing to go and get some used parts. Not bad. It's reasonable. Focus is off on the camera. Really? It looks pretty focused. I focus on my hand. Focus on me. I can make it sharper. I have it set to a shallow depth of field, which is why it does that. So when we put things in front of the camera, I now become blurry. and so on and so forth. But I probably got it set too shallow. I was, always goofing with the settings. I like the look it gives, the separation, but it may be set a little bit. Not to mention, you're watching a stream where the stream goes like this and drops a few pixels and makes me look blurry. Or is my focus off because I keep looking at the TV instead of the camera? I should turn the TV off. There are Cat 8 cables out there. No. Cat 8's not the thing you're looking for. And let me pull that up. Once you get into the above, I don't think anyone's making the 40 gig. I like this article from, let's look to see what this says here. This article is from like 2014. The future of 40 gig copper Ethernet from 2014. It's pointing at SFPs again. What is that called? QSFP, that's the word I was looking for. These are what you're going to see more of. These are QSFP 40 gig transceivers, and I believe they come all the way in 80 and maybe 120 gigs. So this is a different type of transceiver. This is where we see it, and I don't think you're ever going to see this on a standard, RJ45 connection getting that kind of gigage. You're going to see it with specialized connectors like the ones we have here. And these are usually going to be fiber as well. So this is the more likely what you're going to look at. So these are LC connectors on here, which is the fiber connectors. They're going to see 40 gig base. Like I said, I believe they make an 80 gig on these. Let me look at what. So I think it's QSFP. This is where you get into that really fast stuff. Yeah, up to the 100 gig pluggables on certain fiber. So it's still an SFP format, like the packaging is. So I don't expect it to come down to the copper world, like the standard RJ45s. There's just not enough home users that are doing it that way. Let's see. I'm trying to do an HA gate setup, a pfSense, and a Raspberry Pi. No, you can't run. pfSense doesn't natively run on a Raspberry Pi, so that's a different. I'm not sure what you're trying to do exactly, but have it as a failover. There's no easy way to do that, not that I'm aware of. Is the black camera really moving? Neat. I know who's doing that. Kyle's doing that. That's for a demo. There's a Synology sitting there, and those cameras are hooked up to the Synology, and Kyle is setting them up. So that's a thing. That's what's happening back there. So if it's moving, it's because Kyle's spying on something. Yeah, fiber's pretty cool. Can you configure two pfSense with CARP as a failover? As I know, yes. pfSense supports CARP and HA. That's correct. You have to have two matching identical systems to make that work properly. It may work with mismatched systems, but yeah. Yeah, most average home users are fine at 100. So, let's see. Have you dug deeper into the Wasabi hot storage? It is on my to-do list. I just been busy and haven't had time to sign up for an account. I live in Germany, but the internet isn't very fast unless you live big cities where you can get up to 200 or even 400 megahertz. Yeah, that's awesome. Kyle, yes, it is. LTS Kyle is there. Yeah, the MikroTik switch is probably the more reasonable priced one at $260 for their 10 gig. Hey Kyle, can I log in at the same time as you to the Synology and see what that camera sees? I'm kind of curious. I heard MikroTik software is very bad. Yes, it is. That's an easy answer. FreeNAS with 2 static IPs, how would you set that up? Just go into the networking and add another IP address. You can have more than one IP address on a FreeNAS. Matter of fact, I can how many do I have on mine? I don't even know. I don't know if I do anymore. I did at one time. Okay. Kyle yelled probably. I can hear him yelling from the other room. So, problem is I don't know the password. I'll figure it out later. I'm going to do a whole other set of Synology demos that include those cameras. Those cameras were bought so we could do it. Let's see. Hey, Kyle, can you drop a screenshot of the camera inside the chat and the Google chat, and then I'll copy and paste it over to here? Maybe. I don't know. So, I love my 1 gig internet. Yeah. FreeNAS 9.10. I'm sorry, you should replace that. 9.10 is not supported anymore, I don't think. Just a long time, but never. I have a question. A web programmer, an employee, and want to start my own freelancing business. Awesome. Should I buy a server and run WHMS and buy a reseller account somewhere? Do you have an option on this? You can buy that through a lot of different companies. Hosting business is a race to the bottom of cheapness unless you have some better angle. We don't even have a WHCMS. We buy it right now through A2 hosting. I think the cost on a hosting plan starts at like 70 or 80 bucks a month for the level we're at, and we sell a lot of websites on it. You can host quite a few websites for basic servers. So yeah, having your own server to host on, definitely convenient, so you don't have to deal with someone else's crappy server being the problem. A2 hosting works for us. They're not my favorite company right now, but it works. My website is running currently on A2 hosting, along with most of our client sites. Are you running a different show, or is that simply a theme? This is Parrot Security, Parrot OS. So yeah, when you do 1500 versus 9000 MTU, you have to make sure you're aligning the frames properly. So you have to make sure all the devices, if you're going to go to a 9000 MTU, that all the devices support jumbo frames. That's an important thing if you're doing it. There is a slight speed difference because you're getting more information in each frame. So it's not night and day. It's not like you're going to double your speed by changing to jumbo MTUs. So I don't think you need to change the MTU. I have not tested bonded connection on Synology. No test. I don't know anything about it yet. Like, I've not done any tests. All the Synologies we have deployed for clients are small businesses with single connections, and they're happy with it. So that's going to be part of the experiment we do with Synology. We want to do some HA failover testing with Synology too. So yeah. My primary camera is a Canon C100. C100 Mark II. So, does anyone down the firewall rules and LAN sites such as only allowing 8043 through the internet? You can do egress filtering if that's the question. I don't understand that as a question. No, you can do egress filtering. Yeah, we have the UniFi 10 gig switch. I like it. It works. We've had no problems with it at all. That is what our UniFi network runs on, is that 10 gig switches. So can I get to my UniFi network from here? Nope, I'm on the wrong network. I can't do it. Oh, wait, I am. What is this? So, if I go here, here, and here, go to the Wi-Fi network. Hey, look at that, it worked. Now I gotta type my password in. Details. Oh, man. The perils of long passwords. Whoops, hold on. I don't know which account I'm logged into. There we go. Go, computer, go. Too many things open. It's rendering. Hey, thank you very much, Uncle Joey. Or Uncle Joe. I said Joey. Most people are operating the 120 internet here. Yeah. T-Mobile Wi-Fi is calling users port 500 and 4500. Could be. What is a good start kit if you want to build a home lab, like a switch, etc.? Whatever you can afford is a good home lab. I like the UniFi stuff because I think it's easy to understand, but yeah. So, Let me pull this up, pop it out. Yeah, I just did a follow-up review on this. This is the 10 gig UniFi switch. I like it, and we've got all the different things connected here at 10 gigs. They're all connected via SFP. I kind of like they tell you the SFP part number, serial number, what it's connected to. That works good. 10,000 FDX storage 10G network. None of these are fiber. They're all standard SFP cables. I have videos I've done on what's in the rack. And then this is Tom's computer here. My computer is connected to the RJ45 at gigabit, and I'm using that Asus Gigabit PCIe card. Some people said they had problems with it. I've been using it for a while. I want to do a review on it, but it's inside my computer, so I have to take it outside my computer. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll show a picture of it. But it works great. And you know, this is a good, solid performing 10 gig switch that is easy to manage, easy to use. Have not had any headaches at all with it. Oh look, Grosse Ile Middle School is calling. Decline. That's always a fear. Things will come up on there. I already know why the school's calling, because my son was not in school today. So, I don't know what that is. Anyways, I may have to wrap this up because I have to go to my daughter's graduation shortly. So I'm that old. I have kids graduating. One that didn't go to school, one that's graduating soon. So, has anyone tried out EdgeRouter ERX 10X? I have not. Looking to move from a home network from pfSense VM to hardware. What are the needs? I really like the SG1100 if you're doing it at your house. I have that at my house. I love that little box. It works awesome. So what else we have here? Are you using the Unify? Yeah, 16XG for the 12-port 10 gig switch. That's 16 port, not 12. I think it's a 16 port. Anyways, I did a review of it. I did a review of it like just a couple of videos ago, like a follow-up review. I'm thrilled. It works great. It's been fine, and it still runs at 10 gig perfectly fine. Not that I ever think it would die. And of course, there's always a bunch of haters in the comments of how everything is wrong with it. That's why I like to do these reviews showing you that I'm using it, we've installed it, we have clients that installed it, all of us are happy with it all the way around, except for the one guy on YouTube who's really unhappy with his. And also the other person that insists that Unify has discontinued the product and it's not supported. I don't know, I asked them for proof, and of course they never reply. They just leave comments on YouTube videos. Maybe I'll spend once a week, I should just or maybe I should start out Vlog Thursday with my favorite YouTube stupid comments that I get. When using WANs on pfSenses, I'll make a load balance, or certain traffic has to be manually routed to each WAN. And you have to set up load balancing is not just automatic. You don't just click a button and it happens. There is some manual configuration and parameters that you have to do to make that work. I did have a problem with the fiber SFP in a Cisco switch. Unify kept putting the port in blocking state. It would clear until someone shut the Cisco port. That's probably a loop problem is what it sounds like. That would be my guess. What is the metrics for sharing the two WANs? I'm not sure which question you're asking. Full geek, play with good gear. Absolutely. Yeah, you're supposed to set the WANs to be the same priority, and then you can, I think there's an option to round robin. I got to do an updated video on it because the video I have on WAN failover, people start assuming it's SD-WAN. It's not. That is a different thing altogether. So I need to cover what it is, what it isn't, and making sure that this is what it looks like now because of the way the tiers and the priorities, tier 1, tier 2, and how you set the priorities up for that is important. So I'm glad a lot of people are enjoying pfSense. And just so the other, people who just want to complain, because there's always those people, but they're, noisy people sometimes are worth noting. They sometimes have valid points. My video I did that is just before today, the video I released today, was whether or not, things like pfSense are used in the commercial market, is FreeNAS used in the commercial market. And I did a video kind of explaining how you don't know. I know they are. There are things you can find to prove they are, but why you don't have easy to pull statistics and charts from some magazine about that, and some of the challenge in gathering that data of the exact amount of usage in open source. And the first thing I'll point out that may or may not seem really obvious is the fact that when you give software away for free, you don't know who's using it, because when there's not a license involved, Microsoft knows everyone that bought licenses because all the machines are phoning home and giving them stats. Well, open source doesn't. Most open source packages don't do any of that, so they really don't know exactly how big their install bases are for things. So yeah, thoughts on switching to OPNsense? I have no reason to do it. Like, people have asked me, and I'm like, okay, what does it? No one has shown me something it does that pfSense doesn't do. Therefore, why should I use it? Like, just because I'm bored and want to learn a new interface? Matter of fact, I have one particular person we helped switch away from OPNsense, and I didn't verify this, but they had way more problems with Suricata and way more problems with the intrusion detection, and just a lot of other little quirky things. Something with the VLANs they were having problems with. They moved to pfSense and it all just worked. I don't know if it's because they didn't understand OPNsense, and I didn't spend much time working on the OPNsense. We did everything they wanted in pfSense. So unless I have some compelling reason that go, oh man, this is way better, I get this awesome feature, then I'm not really compelled to do it. So that's my thoughts on it. I mean, it takes a long time to learn an interface and learn software, so I have to have kind of a reason to do it, a want, a use for it. Because if not, here's my problem with a lot of YouTube reviewers. They get something that they've never used before, and I'll grab something random off the table here. So it says it uses so many watts, it's cool, and when I'm done, I'm putting it on the shelf over here. And I can't do a follow-up because I got it, some company sent it to me, I reviewed it. And I don't like reviews like that, because I do follow-up reviews, because I say, okay, here's what we got, here's how we installed it, and my reviews are generally done post-install. Then to go a step further, we go and say, all right, this is a follow-up of what it looks like 6 months. Matter of fact, I have a 2-year or 3 years ago, we did something I want to follow up on, that it's still installed and still working. I want to get a detailed video on that of something we set up, because we just added on to their network when left all their existing stuff. And it's old equipment that's been sitting around for years, but still works perfectly fine. But those are important things, because that's a real review, is when you see, oh, wow, you installed that UniFi outdoor unit 2 years later, still works great. That's a good thing to know. That's better than, hey, look, it works. I want to know, does it work not just today? Pretty much everything works today. Does it work tomorrow? That's where the real important answers are. Hey, come to Jamaica. Is there spicy food? Hey, well, I know people like Monowall. Monowall is pfSense. That's where the first was. Monowall project died, and those same developers became pfSense. That's where the history is there. So for those of you that don't know. Driver's issue, not a switch. Weird. Yeah. What else we got? pfSense for the win. Sure. Do you have experience with Partaker hardware? I don't know what Partaker hardware is. Never heard of it, so I'm going to answer that with a negative. UniFi AGs can't keep those speeds, or about right on file transfer speeds. Would you recommend Lenovo ThinkCenter devices? I like these a lot. This is the Lenovo X250 ThinkPad. I still like it. It's a good box. I'm happy with it. So you can't find the video of me and Chris for free PBX. So let me be a smartass, and we're going to go here, and we're going to go to my YouTube channel. And then we're going to go hit the little searchy thing and type in free FREE PBX. So right there, we move from RingCentral Free PBX, walk through my office with Chris from Crosstalk Solutions, literally the first search result. So when you say you can't find it, I'm not trying to be a smartass, but this is actually a lot of the emails that people would send me, and I used to reply to them, and I realized I'm not a search engine. Like, they take the time to find my email address or fill out a contact form to ask me if I did a video on a thing, and I'm kind of there it is. Like, the first search result was a video. I'm not trying to beat up on people, but this question comes up a lot. So, what Linux do you run on what laptop? This is Parrot OS on an IBM X250. So, I started using DHCP server in pfSense and love it. That's awesome. Docker, yeah, the forums run in Docker. So yes, I've done some Docker stuff. Should we invest in Quick Assistant hardware for pfSense? I don't know what that is, but Netgate makes hardware for pfSense. If you want to buy supported commercial available hardware with support contracts and agreements, then you can buy commercial designed by the people who wrote pfSense hardware. It's not that you can't run on our things, but if you go, I want no quirks, I want everything to work, and I want a support contract so I can install it in my corporate environment, you can buy directly from pfSense. You can buy an HA config and have the whole thing figured out and set up. So yeah, MSDHCP is hell. I mean, you use it because we use it all the time for clients that have, a full domain. But I would rather not use it if possible. Yeah, I've not used any of the Zentel stuff. So Lenovo lays off 20% of its workforce here in North Carolina. I don't know much about that. I mean, sad that it happened, but I don't know. So look at the System 76 laptops if you're looking for a good Linux laptop and not worried about it. They make great laptops. Jay just reviewed one on his channel, so look into those. They're good too. All right, I'm going to sign off unless there's anyone else who has those last-minute questions because I have to leave here to go to my daughter's graduation in about 15 minutes. She's graduating high school, so that's exciting. Hey, hello from Nigeria. Also switch to DC from Synology to MS. So setting up domain controllers that are non-Microsoft is possible. I know everyone talks about that, but the reality is I've never seen any of them perform fully functional like the Microsoft one does. I mean, they're all copies of it. So there's that. So it depends on what your use case is, and do you need all the domain functions, and do you need domain functions that are built into whatever device you're going to replace Microsoft with. So that's the biggest question you have to ask before you decide, should I get rid of my Microsoft server? Well, hold up. Think about the whole use case. It's not like a yes or no. So XNG vSwitch like ESXi. I've not really used it, but yeah, they do have a open vSwitch is supported in XCP-ng. I've never used it. Yeah, Synology works great. There's a reason we like Synology. They just kind of work for small business solutions. They're pretty amazing. So is port porting a game server a bad idea for security? Sure, you're letting people in the game server, so it could be. Depends if there's a flaw in the game, but you've now increased your threat surface, so yeah. Anytime you open up a port where someone can remote into your system, you have increased the potential for threat. It's not necessarily, there may never ever be a problem with it, but every port you open is what they refer to your threat surface. You're adding to it. So make sure that game is good. Here in Ralph Trust 2600 and Security and Beers meet up with the Lockpicking Club. That's awesome. I like it. So I'm out of here, ending the stream, stopping the buttons, making it, I think the button's right here. I think I can press it. Also, by the way, the reason I know it's a live stream, the cable's not long enough, it's kind of cool. It does a little spinny effect to show me that it's there. So I'm going to stop the spinny effect now, and that'll end the stream. Join the forums. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by and watching my vlog here. Or live stream vlog thing I do, episode 123. But yeah, awesome. Like I said, the forums.lawrencesystems.com. If you want, I spend a lot of time replying to everybody in there, doing as best I can to keep up with stuff. So join me there, ask questions. If you're trying to find a video, use that little eyeglass thing, searchy thing. Helps you find videos on my channel. I made a lot of them, and sometimes I have to stop and look and rewatch my own videos and find them. Did I do a video on this? Because I have 800 of them, and they're pretty well indexed in my head. But, these questions come up from time to time. Did I do a video on that? And how long ago was it? And how much different would it be to do one today? So I use that little hourglass thing myself quite a bit. I'm looking at my 24-port power, non-power, 5 AP, 5 camera with Cloud Key. Get a unified 24-port PoE. It's a good system. Good night. Well, good afternoon for me, but yeah, good night for some people. I think it's morning-ish. Was it 3 hours behind in California? So it's noonish in California and sleepy time in lots of Europe and places like that. So let's see. Yeah, look, I do like talking about networking. That's why I have the forums. I discuss a lot of things in there and a lot of ideas. All right, thanks.